welcome to Dive. In this video, I'm gonna show you how to build an amazing website, and this is a website that we're gonna rebuild. As you can see, I'm currently scrolling, and we have this card that comes and sticks to our screen, and then we have these other cards here that, as we scroll, they're scrolling up, and then as you can see, this card stays at the center of our screen and is not moving. And then as you can see, we also have other cards here that are coming up. So then as you can see, as you continue to scroll, we have this amazing text appear, and then we have this other card with a video inside, and as you can see, again, it sticks to the center of our screen, and pretty much the same. So this is a website that I want to show you how to rebuild it. We're gonna try and see the various ways we can do it in Framer, and much of it, 90% of it, we won't write even a single line of code, but you just have to have a basic understanding of this tool called Framer. So if you're new to Framer, you can sign up with the link in the description, and if you want to check this out and try and rebuild this with me, you can find the remix file in the description. So without further ado, let's get this started.
Yes, my name is Joe and this is Dive. Let's get this started.
So just a quick recap of what we're gonna cover today, or what we're gonna dive in today. We're gonna look at the first thing, we're gonna look at fixed positioning. So why are we gonna use fixed positioning is because if you look at this text that is here, this text is in a fixed positioning type, and I'm gonna show you more about it. And so we're gonna look at fixed positioning, we're gonna look at how fixed positioning works, and we're going to use something called a fixed dummy. And then the next thing is we're gonna try and look at is what we call a scroll section. So because we're scrolling and part of our text is in a fixed positioning, we need to have a scroll section, just an area where we can cross when we scroll as we see our website. And then we're gonna see how we're gonna set that specific video card to sticky positioning, which is this card. And then finally, we're gonna try and also create a code override in ChatGPT. And we're gonna use a code override because of a very small property that we need to add. And I'm also gonna show you which property that we need. And then yeah, so that's pretty much on the scroll section. And then finally on that thing that we're gonna look at is we're gonna try and see if we can add some button and text effects. And this is what you see here when, as you can see, there's a text here, and I want you to observe this text. There's a text that comes up as we scroll. It has a certain effect. And also I want you to see this subscribe button. When I scroll up, it it's there, but when I scroll up, it disappears. And then when I scroll up, it appears. So this is some of the things that we're gonna try and rebuild. So if you want to learn this, let's get this started. Yeah, so let's just get this started. And the first thing, as you can see, this is my Framer workspace. And normally you start with a white blank canvas like this. And we're going to try and start from scratch. Although I have a couple of elements, images, and sections that I've pre-made. And again, you can find the remix in the description if you want to start these along with me. So this is the fixed section here. And I have a couple of images and frames and just the videos that I'm going to attach to my website so that we can see that kind of a design in act. So the first thing is I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to change the color to black just for so that it looks good. And then I'm going to come and grab this fixed section. I'm going to hold Control C, and I'm just going to copy and paste it inside my desktop. Now, as you can see, let me just take you through. The fixed section has two layers inside. It has the mid text, and let me just call this the mid text 1, and then it has the mid text 2. So why do we have these two text is because we want to have this text appear when a specific video card appears. So for now, we just have them, the two of them like that. And this is what I want you to really pay attention to. Each of this layer is in a type absolutely positioned, meaning that it is not stacked on top of each other. So if I zoom inside, you can see they kind of taking the same space. And because even if you look at this mid text 2, is also in an absolute positioning type. We need this to be like this because we want them to appear on the same area as we scroll. So this is what we're gonna call it a fixed section. And notice I've called it a fixed section, but the positioning type is set to relative. So I'm just gonna change this to fixed for now. Okay, but again, I'm also gonna show you that we also need a relative one, but let me just take it a bit slow and just give you a quick idea. So the second thing is we're gonna do is I'm gonna create a scroll section. So because when something is set to fixed, it's always just fixed on the website. So we need a section where as we scroll, this thing still remains fixed on our screen. So I'm gonna hold F on my keyboard. I'm just gonna create a frame and I'm gonna set this to fill the available space. And I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna give it like a big height because this is gonna be our scroll section. So how long do we want to scroll? We can use like 3000 pixels, which I think is pretty enough. I'm just gonna get rid of the color, and then let's go back to this fixed section and let's just return it to relative and see what happens. When we return it to relative, it comes all the way down. We want it to bring it up. Okay, so let's just bring it up like that. Okay, so let's make sure this let me just make sure the desktop height is set to the content, and we have the frame here, and also make sure this frame this fixed section is set to relative. Sorry, nice. This is what we want to do first. So let's just start with the fixed section being a relative. I think this is pretty easy. So this fixed section and this frame, which is our scroll section, is gonna be set to they're layered on top of each other. So as you can see, when I scroll, we move past it, and now we're scrolling on this scroll section. So we wanna have something interesting here. So I'm gonna try and duplicate this fixed section, and as you can see, we have now two areas here, and I want to make one of them to be fixed. I'm gonna make this be fixed, and as you can see, it's fixed to it's pinned to the top, left and right. And so why am I doing this? I'm doing this because so that we have another section, which is the one which is relative, but this one is gonna be our dummy. It's going to be dummy section, meaning it's gonna be here as a placeholder. We won't really use it, and we're just gonna use it just as a spacer. So I'm even gonna get rid of the opacity, so we can't even see it. And so if you really want to understand this, let me just return the opacity. Let me give it like a red color, and as you can see, it's there. Okay, but we want to get rid of the opacity so that it's there but it's not there. What it's actually doing, it's helping us so that we can have this fixed section on top of it, directly on top of it, and this dummy section is gonna push this scroll section down so that we can have a fixed section on top of this scroll section, because that's what we want to achieve. So let's go back to the dummy section and just remove the colors and make sure the opacity is set to 0. So right now, if I go and view my website, as you can see, this section is fixed, and as we scroll, we still have what we want to achieve. This is kind of like a sticky effect or property, but this is how we want to work with it for now. So second thing, let's just quickly fill in this scroll section with our contents. Let me go to the scroll section, add a layout, and then set it to the frame to sticky, which I think now it works. So I'm just gonna go to the scroll section and just add distribute from the start so that it starts from the top here. So now if I try and scroll, as you can see, we have set this to sticky, but nothing is happening. This is because remember when we set anything to sticky positioning like this, our frame, we have to make sure all parents are set to overflow visible. So we need to make sure this is overflow visible, and then we need to make sure the desktop is also set to overflow visible. Now when I view my website, as you can see, this thing is sticking to our screen like this, and this is pretty good. But we have a problem here. We want this card not to stick on top of this. We want it to stick at the center of our screen, and this is where we're gonna use a code override. Why are we gonna use a code override here? Is simply because if I go to the frame and I set the top to, let's say, and this top means how many pixels from the top is this sticky card going to be. So if I give it like 200, let's say 200, and I come to it and I view my page, as you can see, it's kind of in the center, but it means that even when I increase the size of my screen like this, it won't reposition it to the center. So essentially what we want is, despite the size or the height of the screen, this card should always be at the center of our screen. So notice when we go to Frima, there is no property that we can out of the box try and adjust and make it to 50%. It's kind of hard, but we can do this using a ChatGPT, and we can easily quickly create a code override, and that is what I'm gonna show you right now. So let's do it.